The text message arrived at 7:43 p.m., just as I was spooning lukewarm soup into my mother's mouth. Going to bed early tonight. Don't call after 8. So tired from work. Love you. Nothing says loving wife like a digital curfew. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I stared at Megan's message while Mom wheezed through another spoonful of chicken broth. 3 months of caring for her after the stroke, and my wife couldn't even pretend to miss me anymore. The soup dribbled down Mom's chin as she tried to speak. "Stephen, something's wrong with that girl," Mom managed, her words slurred but determined. "Just tired, Mom. Teaching high school kids all day." The lie tasted worse than the soup smelled. My phone buzzed again. This time it was our shared GPS app, the one Megan insisted we install for safety. Her location dot pulsed bright blue from somewhere downtown. Not home, not even close to home. I screenshot the location. Sunset Motel, Route 9. Classy. "Mom, I need to step outside for a minute." The October air bit through my jacket as I called Megan. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same result. My IT brain kicked into overdrive, pulling up our phone records on my laptop. She'd been getting calls from an unknown number for weeks, always during school hours, always brief. I ran a reverse lookup on the number. Eric Dawes, the gym coach at Megan's school. My hands shook as I lit a cigarette, a habit I'd supposedly quit 3 years ago. The pieces clicked together like code compiling. Late nights grading papers, weekend faculty meetings, the new lingerie I'd found in her drawer, tag still on, that she claimed was for us, but never wore. I drove past the Sunset Motel at 9:15 p.m. Megan's Honda sat in the parking lot next to a black Mustang. Even in the dim streetlight, I recognized Eric's vanity plate. Coach 1. My wife was inside that motel room with another man while I fed soup to my fading mother. I took photos with my phone, hands steadier now that I had evidence. The timestamp would prove everything. Then I drove home to Mom's house and waited. Megan called at 10:30 p.m. "Hey baby, just checking in before bed. Had such a long day." "I bet. Teaching's exhausting. You sound weird. Everything okay with your mom?" "Mom's fine. Sleep tight, honey." I hung up and opened my laptop. Time to do what I do best. Dig through digital breadcrumbs and find the truth. By midnight, I'd cloned Megan's phone using software I'd developed for our IT security company. Every text, every call, every photo would now copy to a secure server I maintained. If she wanted to play games, she'd learn that her husband wasn't as clueless as she thought. The first intercepted message arrived at 12:47 a.m. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Delete this." Eric's response came 3 minutes later. "Your husband suspect anything?" "Stephen, please. He's too busy playing nurse to notice anything. Besides, he's not exactly the jealous type." Not the jealous type. We'd see about that. The last stop bar reeked of stale cigarettes and broken dreams, perfect for my mood. I'd spent the morning setting up monitoring software while Megan was at work, and now I needed a drink to process what I'd discovered. Cat Malone, the bar's owner, slid a whiskey across the scarred wooden surface. "You look like hell, Stephen. Your mom okay?" "Mom's fading. Wife's cheating. Tuesday's going great." Cat raised an eyebrow. She'd known me since high school, back when Megan was just another pretty face in the hallway. "You sure about the wife thing?" I showed her the photos from last night. Cat whistled low. "Damn, with Eric Dawes, that muscle-head coach? You know him?" "He comes in sometimes, brags about his conquests. Real charmer." She refilled my glass. "What are you going to do?" Before I could answer, Sherry Lindell stumbled through the door. Megan's best friend, 3 sheets to the wind at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Perfect timing. "Stephen, fancy meeting you here?" Sherry's words slurred together as she collapsed onto the adjacent stool. "Afternoon, Sherry. Shouldn't you be at work?" "Called in sick. Had to celebrate." She giggled, then caught herself. Celebrate Tuesday." Cat poured Sherry a beer without being asked. The woman was a regular. "Celebrate what, exactly?" I kept my voice casual, but my pulse quickened. "Oh, Megan's so happy these days. Glowing, really. Like she's got some wonderful secret." My grip tightened on the whiskey glass. "Secret?" "She met someone who really appreciates her. Someone who makes her feel alive again." Sherry leaned closer, beer breath hot against my face. "Between you and me, she says this guy makes her feel like a woman again. Not like some nursemaid?" The glass cracked in my hand. Cat quickly replaced it with a fresh one. "That's nice," I managed. Megan deserves to feel appreciated. Right? She was telling me and Eric about how you barely touch her anymore. Too tired from taking care of your mom. A woman has needs, you know? She was telling Eric about our marriage? Sherry's eyes widened as she realized her mistake. I mean, what exactly did she tell Eric about me, Sherry? Stephen, I shouldn't have. What did she say? Sherry stared into her beer, then whispered, She called you Mr. Clueless. Said you were so wrapped up in your mom's problems that you couldn't see what was right in front of your face. Mr. Clueless. The nickname burned in my chest like acid. She said you were more like a roommate than a husband. That Eric makes her feel desired. I drained my whiskey and stood up. Thanks for the honesty, Sherry. Really. Stephen, wait. But I was already walking out, my mind racing with possibilities. Mr. Clueless was about to show them both exactly how observant he could be. That evening, I waited in the Sunset Motel parking lot. My phone buzzed with intercepted texts between Megan and Eric. Room 237. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Can't wait to get my hands on you. Wear that blue thing I like. At 7:45 p.m., Eric's Mustang pulled into the lot. He strutted toward the motel like he owned the place, gym bag slung over his shoulder. Cocky bastard. I waited until 8:30, then approached his car. The key I'd had made from impressions at the school parking lot worked perfectly. I popped the hood and disconnected his battery cable, then used my pocket knife to carve Home Wrecker into the driver's side door. For good measure, I let the air out of 2 tires and left a note under his windshield. Check your GPS history, Coach. Your wife might be interested. Then I settled back into my car to wait. Eric emerged from the motel at 9:15, Megan trailing behind him. She looked flushed and disheveled, her hair messed up in a way that made my stomach clench. Eric tried to start his car, then got out to examine the damage. What the hell? His voice carried across the parking lot. Megan grabbed his arm. Someone knows, Eric. Someone saw us. It's probably just random vandalism. Look at what it says. This isn't random. Eric found my note and read it by the light of his phone. Even from 50 yards away, I could see his face go pale. We need to be more careful, Megan said. Maybe we should cool it for a while. No, Megan's voice turned sharp. I'm not giving up the best thing in my life because of some coward who won't even confront us directly. Best thing in her life. Not our marriage. Not our 10 years together. Him. I started my engine and drove home, leaving them to deal with Eric's disabled car. My phone showed 28 missed calls from Megan by morning, and one final text, You've got it all wrong. I didn't respond. Mr. Clueless had work to do. Wednesday morning brought fresh snow and fresh betrayal. While Megan showered, I accessed our joint accounts and transferred everything to a new account in my name only. $37,000. Every penny we'd saved together. Next, I canceled her credit cards. Then I changed the passwords on our Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, and every other shared account we had. If she wanted to play house with Eric, she could do it on his dime. The intercepted text from her phone painted a picture that made my coffee taste like ash. Steven's acting weird. He barely spoke to me last night. Think he knows? How could he? He's been too busy with his mom to pay attention to anything else. What if someone saw us at the motel? Then we'll deal with it. I'm not going back to that empty bedroom and pretend to be happy. You sure you want to leave him? I've been sure for months, just waiting for the right time. The right time? How considerate of her. I forwarded the entire text chain to my personal email, then printed hard copies. Evidence for later. At 10 a.m., I called Riverside High School and asked to speak with Principal Linton. We'd met at a few school functions, a stern, old-fashioned man who ran his school like a military operation. Mr. Brooks, what can I do for you? I need to report inappropriate conduct between faculty members. I have evidence of an affair between my wife, Megan Brooks, and Eric Dawes. Silence stretched across the phone line. That's a serious accusation, Mr. Brooks. I have photos, text messages, and GPS records. I can email everything to you within the hour. Please do. We take faculty conduct very seriously at Riverside. I sent him everything, photos of their cars at the motel, screenshots of their explicit text messages, even the GPS data showing their regular meetups during school hours. My phone rang 20 minutes later. Mr. Brooks, I've reviewed your evidence. We'll be conducting an immediate investigation. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. What happens now? I can't discuss specifics, but both faculty members will be placed on administrative leave pending our review. Inappropriate relationships between colleagues create a hostile work environment and reflect poorly on our institution. Administrative leave. No pay, no benefits. Megan's perfect little world was about to crumble. I spent the afternoon changing the locks on our house. When Megan came home at 4 p.m., she found her clothes packed in boxes on the front porch and a new lock bolt on the door. She pounded on the wood until her fists were raw. "Stephen, open this door. We need to talk." I watched through the window as neighbors gathered on their porches, phones out, recording her meltdown for social media posterity. "Stephen, please, I can explain everything." I opened the door but kept the chain lock engaged. "Explain what, Megan? How you've been screwing Eric Dawes at the Sunset Motel? How you called me Mr. Clueless to your friends? How you told your lover our marriage was over?" Her face went white. "You were spying on me." "I was protecting myself. Turns out my wife was planning to leave me but wanted to have her fun first." "It's not like that. Your credit cards are canceled. The accounts are frozen. Your key doesn't work anymore." I started to close the door, then paused. "Oh, and Principal Linton has some questions for you tomorrow, something about faculty conduct." "You didn't. Check your email. You're on administrative leave." I closed the door and turned the lock bolt. Megan screamed and pounded for another 10 minutes before Sherry arrived to collect her. My phone buzzed with a text from Eric. "We need to talk." I typed back, "Talk to your wife. She'll want to see the photos." Then I poured myself a whiskey and watched the local news. The lead story was about a teacher and coach from Riverside High being investigated for inappropriate conduct. They didn't name names, but everyone in town would know by morning. Mr. Clueless was just getting started. Thursday evening found me back at the last stop, nursing a beer and enjoying the show. Eric had arrived 20 minutes earlier, pacing near the pool table like a caged animal. Word traveled fast in our small town. His wife had already filed for divorce, and the school board was meeting tomorrow to discuss his termination. "Stephen Brooks?" Eric's voice cracked with false bravado as he approached my table. "Eric, how's unemployment treating you?" He slammed his palm on the table, making my beer bottle jump. "You destroyed my life over a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" I laughed, pulling out my phone to show him screenshots of his texts with Megan. "Which part was I misunderstanding? The part where you called my wife insatiable, or the part where you planned to make her forget she ever had a husband?" Eric's face flushed red. "You had no right to spy on us." I had every right to monitor my own wife's phone, especially when she was using our family plan to coordinate her affair. Kat appeared beside our table, towel in hand. "Problem here, boys?" "No problem," I said calmly. Eric was just leaving. "I'm not going anywhere until we settle this." "Settle what?" "You screwed my wife. I exposed you. You lost your job and your marriage. Seems pretty settled to me." Eric grabbed my shirt collar and hauled me to my feet. "You self-righteous piece of—" I drove my knee into his stomach, doubling him over. Years of working construction before my IT career had taught me how to handle bullies. "Touch me again, and I'll have you arrested for assault," I said, straightening my shirt. "There are 12 witnesses in here, plus security cameras." Eric straightened up, wheezing. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is. You're nobody now. No job, no wife, no reputation. What are you going to do, beat me up? Go ahead. Add assault charges to your resume." He stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Kat refilled my beer. "That was entertaining. What's your next move?" "I'm thinking about it." My phone buzzed with a text from Megan. "Can we please talk? I made a mistake." I showed Kat the message. She snorted. "A mistake? Like accidentally falling on his dick for 3 months?" "She wants to reconcile. Says she'll do anything to fix our marriage." "You considering it?" I thought about Mom, fading alone while I'd been working 60-hour weeks to pay for Megan's shopping trips. I thought about 10 years of marriage, of trust, of building a life together. Then I thought about her calling me Mr. Clueless while she planned her exit strategy. No, some things can't be fixed. Friday morning brought news that Eric had been terminated from Riverside High. The school board cited conduct unbecoming of faculty and violation of professional ethics standards. His teaching license was under review by the state. Megan called me 17 times. I answered on the 18th. "Stephen, please, we need to talk." "Talk." "Not over the phone. Can I come over?" "No." "Then meet me somewhere. Anywhere, please." "Fine. Sunset Motel. Room 237. Seems appropriate." Silence stretched between us. "That's cruel." "So is adultery." I hung up and drove to the motel. Megan was waiting in the parking lot, looking haggard and desperate. She'd lost weight, and her usually perfect hair hung limp around her shoulders. "Thank you for coming," she said as I approached. "You have 5 minutes." "I made a terrible mistake. Eric meant nothing to me." "Your text messages suggest otherwise." I was confused, scared. Your mom's illness, the stress, I felt like I was losing you. So you decided to lose me faster? Tears streamed down her cheeks. I want to come home. I want to fix this. Home is where you're honest with your spouse, where you don't mock them to your lover, where you don't plan your escape while they're caring for their mother. I never meant for it to go this far. How far did you mean for it to go, Megan? A few quick screws while I was distracted? A little excitement before you filed for divorce? She flinched. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. I felt invisible, like I didn't matter to you anymore. So you mattered to Eric instead, in this motel room, while I was feeding soup to my mother and paying your credit card bills. Stephen, please. I read your messages, Megan, all of them. You weren't planning to fix our marriage. You were planning to replace me. She sobbed into her hands. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Yes, you were. And now you get to live with the consequences. I walked back to my car, leaving her crying in the parking lot where she'd betrayed our marriage. My phone buzzed with another text from Eric. This is your fault. You'll pay for what you've done. I screenshotted the message and forwarded it to the police. Threatening texts would make excellent evidence if Eric decided to escalate things. Mr. Clueless was learning to cover all his bases. Monday morning brought an unexpected visitor to my mother's house. Detective Ray Morrison stood on the porch, badge in hand, looking uncomfortable. Stephen Brooks, I need to ask you some questions about your wife's allegations. My coffee mug stopped halfway to my lips. What allegations? She's filed a complaint claiming you've been stalking and harassing her. Says you hacked her phone and destroyed her career out of spite. I set down my coffee and gestured to the living room. Come in, detective. Let's clear this up. Morrison settled into Mom's recliner, pulling out a notepad. She also claims you've been threatening her and Eric Dawes. That's interesting, considering Eric threatened me. I showed him the screenshot of Eric's text. I forwarded this to the police department Friday night. Morrison examined my phone. I'll need a copy of this. Now, about the phone hacking. I monitored my own wife's phone using our family plan, completely legal. I have documentation showing I'm the primary account holder and she consented to location sharing when we set up the GPS app. And the harassment? I pulled out my laptop and opened a folder labeled Evidence. Detective, my wife was having an affair with a coworker. They were meeting at motels, using school time for personal business, and planning to end our marriage. I documented their activities and reported the inappropriate workplace conduct to their employer. That's not harassment. That's protecting my interests and ensuring professional standards. Morrison reviewed the photos, text messages, and GPS logs. His expression grew grim. This paints a different picture than what your wife described. Megan's desperate. She lost her job, her reputation, and her marriage because of her own choices. Now she's trying to make me the villain. She claims you broke into Eric Dawes' car. I have no idea what she's talking about. Technically true, I hadn't broken in, I'd used a key. Morrison closed his notepad. Mr. Brooks, I don't see evidence of criminal activity on your part. Documenting your spouse's infidelity is legal, and reporting workplace misconduct is actually commendable. However, I'd advise you to avoid any direct contact with either party. Already planned on it, Detective. After Morrison left, I called my old friend Miles Green. We'd served together in the National Guard before he became a private investigator, and I went into IT. Stephen, heard you've been having some excitement. Miles, I need a favor. Can you do some background checking on Eric Dawes? The gym teacher? Sure. What am I looking for? Anything that might explain why he's so confident about threatening people, Miles called back 3 hours later. Your boy Eric's got quite a history. 2 previous schools, both in different states, left under mysterious circumstances both times. Define mysterious. First school in Ohio. Inappropriate relationship with a parent during parent-teacher conferences. Second school in Pennsylvania. Suspected of having an affair with the principal's wife. Never proven, but he transferred mid-semester. So Megan wasn't his first conquest. Not even close. Guy's a serial homewrecker. I also found something interesting. He's married to money. His wife's family owns 3 car dealerships. That Mustang he drives? Wedding gift from daddy-in-law? Had. Past tense. His wife filed for divorce. Then he's about to be broke and unemployed. Dangerous combination. That evening, Eric proved Miles right. I was leaving Mom's house when he stepped out from behind my car, blocking my path to the driver's door. We need to settle this, Stephen. Already settled. You lost. I lost everything because of you. You lost everything because you couldn't keep it in your pants. Eric stepped closer, fists clenched. Megan loves me. She never loved you. If she loved you, she wouldn't have thrown you under the bus when the police questioned her. Didn't she tell them the affair was all your idea? That you pursued her? Eric's face went pale. She didn't say that. I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Megan's voice filled the air. Eric kept pressuring me. He said his marriage was over anyway, that we deserved to be happy. I never meant for it to go so far, but he was so persistent. Where did you get that? Eric's voice cracked. She called me yesterday, trying to reconcile. Wanted to blame everything on you to save herself. I recorded the conversation. Eric lunged at me, but I was ready. I sidestepped and he crashed into my car, denting the door panel. Thanks for the property damage, Eric. That's another police report. He straightened up, breathing hard. You think you're so smart? Smarter than a guy who throws away his career for a woman who sells him out the minute things get tough. Eric walked away without another word. I called the police to report the incident and the property damage, then drove home to my empty house. My phone buzzed with a text from Megan. I know you recorded our conversation. That's illegal. I texted back, one-party consent state. Perfectly legal. Check with your lawyer. She didn't respond. 3 weeks later, I was back at the last stop, celebrating Mom's successful surgery. The doctors had removed a clot, and she was finally speaking clearly again. For the first time in months, I felt like celebrating. Kat poured my usual whiskey. How's your mom doing? Much better. She might even come home next week. That's great news. And how are you handling the single life? Better than expected. Turns out I like having control of the remote. The door burst open, and Megan stumbled in, clearly drunk and desperate. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes wrinkled, and she'd lost even more weight. Behind her, Eric looked equally rough, unshaven, hollow-eyed, wearing a stained t-shirt. Well, well, Kat muttered. Look what the cat dragged in. Megan spotted me at the bar and lurched over. Stephen, we need to talk. No, we don't. Please. I'm staying at a homeless shelter. I can't find work anywhere. The school board blacklisted me. Actions have consequences. I made a mistake. One mistake. 3 months of mistakes, every Tuesday and Thursday at the Sunset Motel. Eric appeared beside her, swaying slightly. This is all your fault, Brooks. My fault you couldn't keep your job. My fault your wife divorced you. My fault you're both unemployable. We were in love, I laughed, pulling out my phone. Love? Let me play you something. Megan's voice filled the bar. Eric was obsessed with me. He kept saying he'd leave his wife, that we'd be together. I felt sorry for him, really. His marriage was so unhappy, and he seemed so lonely. I never took it seriously. Eric's face went white. You said I was the love of your life. I said what you wanted to hear, Megan slurred, just like I'm telling Stephen what he wants to hear now. So which is the lie? I asked. What you told him, or what you're telling me? Megan's eyes filled with tears. I don't know anymore. I just want my life back. Your life back? I stood up, facing her. You want the house you betrayed me in? The marriage you destroyed? The job you lost by screwing a coworker? I want forgiveness. From who? Me? Your employer? The community you embarrassed? God? From you. Please, Stephen, I'll do anything. Anything except be faithful. Anything except be honest. Anything except treat your husband with respect while his mother was fading. Megan collapsed onto a bar stool, sobbing. Eric stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time. You really never loved me, he whispered. I loved the attention, Megan admitted. I loved feeling wanted. And I loved feeling powerful, Eric said bitterly. Taking another man's wife, proving I was better than him. You weren't better, I said quietly. You were just available. Eric looked around the bar, at the customers watching our drama unfold, at Kat recording everything on her phone, at Megan crying into her hands. I had a good life, he said. A wife who loved me, a job I enjoyed, respect in the community. I threw it all away for this. For me? Megan looked up, mascara streaking her cheeks. For the idea of you. For the fantasy of being someone's hero instead of just another gym teacher. We can still be together, Megan pleaded. We can start over somewhere else. Eric shook his head. With what money? What references? What future? He looked at me. You destroyed us both. I exposed you both. You destroyed yourselves. Eric walked toward the door, then stopped. She's right about one thing. She'll do anything, including selling you out to save herself. Don't take her back, Stephen. She'll destroy you too. The door slammed behind him, leaving Megan alone at the bar. Please, she whispered. I have nowhere to go. You should have thought of that before you called me Mr. Clueless. I never meant... You meant every word. You meant every lie, every betrayal, every moment you spent in that motel room while I took care of my mother. I finished my whiskey and stood up. Checkout's at noon, Megan. Trip's canceled. So is your future. I walked out of the last stop and drove home to my empty house. My phone stayed silent for the first time in months. No text from Megan begging for forgiveness, no threats from Eric, no drama, no lies, no betrayal. Just peace. The next morning, I learned that Megan had been arrested for public intoxication and disturbing the peace. Eric had left town during the night, leaving behind only unpaid bills and a note to his landlord. I didn't visit Megan in jail. I didn't pay her bail. I didn't take her calls. 2 weeks later, the divorce papers were finalized. Megan signed everything without contest. She had no choice and no money for lawyers. I kept the house, the savings, and my dignity. Mom came home from the hospital that same day, speaking clearly and walking with just a cane. We sat on the porch that evening, watching the sunset. "I'm proud of you, son," she said. "For what?" "For not taking her back. For knowing your worth. She destroyed her own life. I just documented it. Some people need to lose everything before they understand what they had. And some people never understand at all." Mom patted my hand. "Her loss, my gain. Now I get my son back full time." I squeezed her fingers gently. Wouldn't have it any other way. 6 months later, I heard through the town grapevine that Megan had moved to another state, working as a waitress under her maiden name. Eric had taken a job at a gym in Florida, divorced and broke. I never saw either of them again.